personalized dietary advice versus public health. So, are we going to have to move to personalized nutrition? Food companies are thinking, that they could move towards that, but it probably will become price prohibitive or cost prohibitive. And so this is the debate that they're having at agencies such as Health Canada. And so there's a number of companies. 23andMe has been in the news recently about whether or not there's potential litigation of, we get this dietary advice and you end up still, developing some of these diseases, right, that it's supposed to give you some advice on. But there's a whole series. Genomics is a big area. My colleague at the University of Toronto, Ahmed El-Sahimi, is one of the leaders in this area. And so this whole notion of diet and genes, which I think for the longest time we didn't take seriously, but how does that affect food that we eat? If we decide that we're supposed to eat some particular food. And this is because if you look at the way, even in your family, you have brothers or sisters, and each of us react quite differently to the kinds of foods that we eat. This is an interesting one about coffee. So I've had some issues with my heart, and Ahmed's been telling me that I must be a slow metabolizer of caffeine, because he's done this study where people who have this propensity to metabolize coffee slowly or caffeine slowly have a propensity to develop cardiovascular disease. He's done some work on the social science side with regards to what do people think about personalized nutrition. Again, here's some of the things that came out of that study. So these are all good things that came out of that study. Change of eating habits is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Right? So, one of my favorite things are French fries or potato chips or things like that. And the whole notion of just having one, I think, is under the category of impossible. I don't know anyone, have one potato chip. Right? Okay. Is that one bag, did you say? No. It's one potato chip. So he spun out a company called Genomics, and this company was spun out of an NCE. So, and I'll give you a bit of the story about back in, and I see I'm just about at my time limit, so I'm just going to quickly run through these things. So Genomics is a company that he spun out, and he spun it out of U of T, and it really is doing a buccal swab and then doing the analysis, right, and telling you that you have a propensity. The interesting thing is that it gets into this debate of whether or not the consumer is willing to accept that kind of information. So again, I'll reiterate that you need to go back and have your social scientists involved right from the get-go on a lot of these projects. So this is the Advanced Foods and Materials Canada. This is the transformation of a NCE. Now, if you've talked to the NCEs that have gone before, one of their biggest challenges is what happens after federal funding, because you lose that funding pool. So I don't use this as a success example. I'll just tell you that what we did is that we transformed ourselves from that NCE into a not-for-profit. We have a staff of now 2 or 3, including myself, I guess, that looks after this NCE. And it's all about networking and facilitating. So I'm just going to, I'll quickly go through. This is how we use it. We use this 360 approach. We use it as a portal for clients to come through us to say, who's doing what? How can you help us leverage money? Where are the infrastructures that you need to do the project? And so we've continued to do that. We run on a project basis. Per project basis, we build in a management fee, and that's how we sustain ourselves. The people who are with us, you've got to say, have to be the closest thing to altruistic, and because they live from hand to mouth, but they do this. And here's a little bit of a project flow. And I'll do a little bit of advertising. The World Food Congress is in Montreal, August. So if you have an opportunity to come see some of the major food companies and some of the cutting-edge research in food science, please come to Montreal. So with that, Brad, Rachel, thank you. And look forward to being on the panel.